to our next session here in the Women in Testing track. Today with me is Nirmala from Mauritius. She's one
Hi.
of the inspiring ladies in software testing. Hello, Nirmala.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you doing? You're live from
Very well.
Mauritius now, so that's really lovely to have such a nice video to one of the nicest islands in the world, I think.
Yeah, it is nice in Mauritius, full of beaches, full of sun. So come and
And
see us.
hopefully full of testing, I would say, right? That's the reason why you are with us here today. Software testing, and Nimala, you are one of the women in testing. So I think
Yes.
you started your career at the University of Mauritius. What did you study there, and how did your career go? In fact.
Okay, so I started my studies at the University of Mauritius. My course was called Computer Science with Multimedia. Um, Unfortunately, at the University of Mauritius, we don't study a lot about testing. So it was more about coding, it was more about understanding requirements and so on. But we didn't learn about testing. So it was just studying about computer science and multimedia. So I do have some knowledge about Dreamweaver and so on that we were using at that time. Yeah.
And how was the ratio there? Was it mostly men, or was it more women, or can you say something on that?
Uh, I think the trend in Mauritius is everybody goes to the university. So it's not, you'll see a mix. It's really a mix about women and men at the university. And I'd say the success rate from the university is mostly the women who will be successful at the end of the course, and the men will maybe need to do more years because, well, as you know, ladies are always more applied and more hardworking. I'm
Also in
joking.
IT. So you see a trend that in Mauritius there's more women successful in IT than men.
I wouldn't say the whole IT, but at university level, you would see that. But when we go into the professional world, then there is a shift. You'll see more men at higher positions, like upper management, but less women at that position of decision making. I don't really know what the cause could be, but probably family influences and so on. So you do see it a shift when we go into upper management, but when it's at a level where everybody's working, not decision making, then it's a real mix most of the time in IT. Yeah.
But you say a shift. So there's now more men in the C-level positions. But
Yeah.
does it? Do you also already see a trend that there's more women coming up, or is that still blocked for men?
I think the people want there to be more women. So there is a lot of initiatives that are being taken by the government, by companies, where they want to promote women at the C level. And we've seen some really wonderful ladies at those level that are emerging. And I think we will see more people going into more ladies going into that direction. But it's a work in progress, I'd say. But there is that shift. There is that mentality of wanting women at that level now than it was previously. Yeah.
Interesting. And but you still see barriers, in fact, to grow up in the C-level career, right?
Yeah, there is still, I wouldn't say barriers, but I think it's more a cultural thing than barriers, but because I think we do put everything in place to get the ladies at those level, but sometimes they choose not to, or sometimes you'd see other things being like, I don't know, kids, family, and so on, being a barrier for that. But I don't think it's the companies themselves or it's the government themselves who put barriers. There's a real uh, mentality shift to put women into those positions from what I see from my experience. Yeah.
And how do you see it in the field of testing? Is there also barriers, in fact, to you have to walk through?
Well, on the contrary, I'd say in Mauritius, I don't know how it is outside. In Mauritius, most testers are women. In my team, for example, I have my ratio of women to men. The women will always be higher. I've been into test management for a while now, and that's what I've seen throughout. So I don't know if that's different in other countries or it's different in Mauritius. Maybe we are the exception, but there are more ladies who are doing testing. I think we there is kind of a myth that starts at university. Testing is easier than development. Of course, it's not, but there is that myth, and maybe ladies want something that's easier, or I don't know. But there is no barrier as such. Some of the greatest mentors that I've had into the testing field have been ladies, and I haven't seen really, I haven't felt it in my personal experience that there is a barrier for women in testing. In development, it's different, but in testing, I haven't seen it in
Well,
Mauritius.
that's very interesting to hear, and that's also very good to know, in fact. And when you
Yeah.
now look back at your in your successful career, what were the things which helped you to achieve to come where you are? Was it only the university, or were there also other things which you say helped you to achieve your position where you are now?
Well, firstly, it's the mentors I've had. When I started with a team leader who was a lady. She was a lady, and she taught me everything I know. Uh, and she was someone who really encouraged me to ask questions, encouraged me to make mistakes, to fail, and then to learn from that mistake as well. She showed me that not knowing something is not bad. You should just ask. So I think that's one of the main thing that helped me be the person I am today professionally. But it's also the environment where I grew. I started uh, in a company where we had a real team spirit. The developers were and the testers. There was no barrier. We fought a lot, obviously. Testers and developers will always fight, but at the end of the day, it was more about how we get something of quality out. We could stay up late at night just to get something done that us for us to reproduce the issues, and then they will develop it and we test it again to make something of quality go on production. And that's something that helped me be the person I am. That's about the team, about quality, about really making sure what we are putting in production, it's the best that it can be. So I think it's the environment, it's the mentors I've had, it's the people who've helped me, um, who've groomed me, I'd say, to be the person I am. I think that's the main thing. But another thing that's really helped me is when I started my career in testing, the company asked us to be certified. And then we were, all of us in the testing, well, it was just me and my team leader at that time. So we were certified at foundation level at the very beginning. So it helped us get that, at least it helped me get that foundation to be where I am today. So I think certifications are really, really important when we start our career. Yeah.
That sounds very right, in my opinion. Yes. When when you look now at where you are, is there a specific culture which is pushing then the idea of putting ladies on top in testing in Mauritius? Would you say that?
I think it came about naturally. So I don't think someone wanted the ladies to be into testing. Maybe it's something cultural. Maybe it's something, like I said, people thought it was easier than development. Uh, but I don't think there's something we are doing in particular that pushes women towards testing. On the contrary, we want, I mean, we want it to be open to everybody. And but what we do see is if we're thinking about non-functional testing, which is like performance testing or automation testing, there you will find that it's more guys than girls. Again, it's something related to coding maybe, but now we are, well, at least in my company, we're trying to get the girls to do the same as well. So there's nothing in particular that stops people to do it or encourages them to do it. It's really their choice. The openings are there, so it's what they want to do. But what remains a problem in Mauritius for the whole testing community is that it's not well known. It's something that, for example, myself, I fell into it by accident. So I was applying for jobs, and then I went somewhere and they said, do you want to do testing? I said, why not? I'm just looking for a job, you know. So I started like that. And there are, in my experience when recruiting people, that's how most people have ended up being into the testing field. So maybe what we need, instead of more genderizing it, it's what do we need to encourage people to go into that field in Mauritius. It's more around how do we um, put it out there as a career, how do we encourage people to know about it, to learn about it, and start, you know, their careers in this field. It's more like that. It's less gender, it's more how we get anybody who wants to be into testing to be there, for
So
at
creating
least
a
in my
career
experience.
path, in fact, right? So having a career
Exactly.
path
Yeah,
for all the people who are interested in that. But that's interesting
exactly.
that you came into that field by accident, as you said.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I've heard also already quite a lot, and that's an interesting thing. And it seems to be quite a situation which is not only in Mauritius, but which seems to be quite globally. So you are also working not only with Mauritian companies, right? But you are also working with international companies. How do you
Y-
see it there? Is there also such a trend that more women are in the field of testing, or can't you see that so much outside Mauritius?
well, the thing is, I don't work with companies. For example, where I am right now, it's an international company. It's a French company, and the testing team, the whole testing team, is in Mauritius. Okay, so I don't know how it would have been if it was, for example, in France. So I don't know if it would have been different. But what when I was in another company that was an English company, there were more women in testing there as well. Maybe that's why my experience has been that there are quite few women in testing, and the women that I knew over there, they were like test manager level, not C level, but they were at the management level. Or I mean, all the companies I've worked for, I've seen always women being my role models in the testing field. So my experience has been, I think, a bit different from maybe other women that you've talked with for your track here.
Well, but it's very interesting, and I think that's also making our tracks here so interesting that we are having different cultures, different women from so many different countries, and
Yeah.
that shows also the differences. But also that's what I feel. It seems that the barriers are getting less, and I think that's a very interesting information, also some news, because I think Mauritius is a very interesting country, as you are just, I think, 1 million people, right?
Yeah. Just over 1 million. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's in some countries that's a city, and
Yeah.
so you are in fact a city of knowledge and testing then, and that's very interesting to see.
Yeah.
But as you are also one of these experienced ladies, when you have now new ladies who want to go into testing, what would you recommend them? Is there anything
Um,
you would tell them what they should do? What will help them to be successful?
yeah. One thing that's really important as a tester is, or asking questions, right? Because we can't assume anything. We need to really make sure we're understanding something very well. And I don't know if it's just Mauritius, but or other places as well. But what we see, what I've seen during my career, is we, as a testing community, and mostly the women in testing, they hesitate to ask questions, especially if there is a guy in front of us who is more experienced, more knowledgeable. So we really hesitate to ask questions. So what I would advise really for anyone, and mostly the women, is don't be shy. Ask your questions. There is no stupid question. And if the person in front of you reacts badly, or they don't want to answer your question, but there will always be someone else who can answer that question. It's important that we do not hesitate to ask question and not be shy about what we're doing. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I've seen, people who want to do testing, they don't consider it, is it's important to adapt our processes, what we've learned in ISTQB, for example, to what the company needs us to do. At the end of the day, the end game is quality in production. So really, how will you bring quality if you don't understand what your company is doing? So understanding the business, where we are evolving, where we are working, that's the main point. If you understand that, there will be no barriers for you to get quality out there, I think. So that would be my advice to anyone, especially the ladies going into testing. Don't be shy to ask questions and really understand where you're working, where you are evolving, so that whatever you are able to deliver at the end of the day, it's really of high quality. Well,
Yeah.
that's the two main ones.
Very, very nice, Nirmala. Really, really inspiring what you're doing, and I think you really see that you love what you do, and I think that's also a very important point.
Passionate about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Really passionate about it. It's been in testing for a long time now, and yeah.
No, absolutely cool, and it's really a pleasure to have you here with us today. We are going to move on now with some other tracks, and it has been a pleasure to interview you here today. And
Thank
it,
you.
I think, gives really nice insights also for people who don't know that Mauritius has a big testing area, and it's very nice to see that there is really something interesting growing up in Mauritius.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here, my guest. And we are now going on to celebrate with the ISTQB the 20 years. And
Congratulations.
we will see us next year in Mauritius, right? You are having a big conference planned in February.
Yes, we are planning a conference in February. Um, I'll let you discover it during our adverts that will go out soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a lovely
Thank
day,
you.
and best regards from Marrakesh.
Thank you. Bye.